Okay, let me just spin it all up really quickly. What is it? Nodemon? You guys know you can also use npm to run it?
Okay. Set it up
In your scripts, yeah. Script tags. Here. You could use npm to run your command. Like if we wanted to do dev start nodemon server.js. Okay, then in the terminal, npm run dev start. Something like that. Up to you. Typically, you'd see something like this. Start developer mode or production, or the developer environment, and then inside of here, your server, when we set the environment port, if it's not inside of like the dev, then it'll run on a specific port. If it's on production, it'll run on a different port. Okay. Oh yeah, I was running it. That one also need ng build watch. Okay, then we can go to localhost 8000. Oh, that's fine. We did this yesterday, right? The nav bar stuff. Okay, so we did the delete, and then it's just edit and show. Right? Let's do show first. So inside of the home component HTML, okay, this is going to be pretty much the same with show, and then instead of delete task, we'll have show task. Can you guys see that? Okay, so now we have a method show task that takes in the ID of the task, and then we can go to the home component and just build that function here, show task with the ID, and then this dot service dot show one task, pass in the ID and subscribe. Okay, then we can console log the data. Now we can go into our service and build this method here. Gets an ID, and then we'll return dot get, right? And this will be slash task, plural, I think, slash ID. Okay, so we can test it out. Refresh. That should pull up one task show. Okay, and that gets us learn how to play the guitar. So now we need to that will bring us a task and stay on this component to show the one task, but what we want to do is go to another component instead and make the same call but inside of that component, right? So we know we can get the data. Now we can, actually I'll do it in here. Now I'll cd into public and generate the show component. Okay, so ng generate component show. Okay, so now with this new component show, we have to import something. HTTP service, the service file, right? So we'll import HTTP service from one more dot. HTTP service. Okay, then in our constructor, private underscore HTTP service. Okay, so now what we want to do is be able to send the ID to this component, and then once we get to this component, catch that ID, and then use that ID to make a query to our Mongoose database and bring that data back. Okay, so if we go to the platform, log in here, Angular, navigation, routing. So in here, yeah, it's in here. So we're gonna need this router link. Okay, that's gonna send us to the different component. So inside of our home, instead of showing a message, okay, now we need router link. Capital L? I don't know. Yes, capital L equals quotes, bracket, and then single quotes, and then slash task slash task dot underscore ID. Okay, so now let's refresh. If we go to the bottom here, we have slash task dot ID. Okay, so that's not quite how we do it. I think we just take this out of here and put it outside of the single quotes. Like that maybe? Yeah. Okay, so now the ID is there. So now we have slash task slash ID. So inside of our router module, we got to create that route. So we'll go to, where's it at? Oh, routing. Okay, now we go to path, and we want to go to task slash ID. Okay, and that's going to load the show component. Okay, so now this is going to catch that ID. So if we go to this, test it out, and actually click on it, we do get to show the show component, right? And this also, the ID is in here on the URL. So now we have to grab that ID from the URL, then use that ID to make a query to the database, right? Now that shows you how to do it in the platform by using the activated route. Okay, so let's go ahead and import. I'll just do all of it. We're not going to need all of it, but or we might. I don't know. So now I copied that. If we go to our show component here, oh, what happened? So I'm gonna copy paste this whole line, and then also copy and paste these two. Okay, So now on init, we need to catch that ID with this line of code. Okay, so we're using this route variable from the activated route module, calling on the params. Sorry, excuse me. On the params.subscribe, catching the parameters inside of the URL, and then calling on it by the ID. So why is this called ID here? The key of ID. Here, right? Because I called it ID here. Okay, so now when I create this variable, there's a key that's created in the parameters object that I can then call on based off of this variable name. No shell. So now it's going to console log the ID in the console. So if I just refresh, it should show it up here. Or, oh, why is it showing me this? JSON data, right? Why is it showing me JSON data? No, it's not showing me my components anymore.
Oh, that's the route for the
Right.
server.
So I have the same route in my server, so now my server is catching that same route and responding first with the JSON data instead of redirecting to my Angular routes.
It's gonna check the server route first.
Yeah,
And then be thinking about it.
exactly. So I got to change my routes. And in here, so I can't have /task/ID because that's the same route in my server, in my Express app. It's the same one, so it's not even getting here. Let's change it to single task. So if I refresh, take the S out of here. Okay, now it goes to show works, and my ID gets printed inside of the console. Okay, just like how it shows here. Okay, so now I'm going to create a variable task ID. Yeah, task ID, and then as soon as I get the ID, or actually I'll do it another way. As soon as I get it here, I'm going to invoke a function called getTask and pass it the params with the key of ID. So I'll pass it the ID in the function. Okay, and then I'm going to build that function. So get task, catch the ID, and then the same thing I did inside of my home component. This one. I don't need that anymore. New? No, show. I could do it in here. Okay, so it's calling on the same service file, so I don't need to go and recreate that function in the service because I already built it. So now it should console log everything. If I refresh, here's my single task. Okay, now all I got to do is just display everything. So what I do need up here is the task itself. Okay, and then as soon as I get the data, I'll say this dot task equals data with the key of task. Okay, so now that the object lives here, I can display it on my HTML. H1, this should be task dot title. Right, and then description and completed. Cool. There's my task. So let's create a couple more. Add new task. What do I have to play something? Okay, Okay, there's two. If I hit show on play something, what happened? Oh, it's saying cannot match any routes / task / ID. What do I need to change here? Task, singular, right? So I need to go back to my home page and take this S out here. Okay, refresh, show task. There's one. Show the learn to play guitar, and there's learn to play guitar. Okay. Okay, any questions there? Cool. Now it's the edit one. I'm gonna need another component to load the form that edits the page. So I'm gonna generate component edit. Okay, so now in my home page, and I can use the same route. Let me change this to show actually, because then I can just add here to go to edit. That makes sense? Okay, so now show / ID and then edit / ID. And they're both gonna load the different components. So inside of my router, my routing, change this to show. Then I have another one for edit. This is gonna load the edit component. Okay, so now edit / ID should do something very similar to the show. Okay, so now if I go to, where's my edit? There you are. If I go to this component, I need to do something very similar to the show. I need to grab the ID from the URL, query for that specific task, and then display it in the form so they can edit it, right? So let me go to the show component and almost copy and paste. I need this line in my edit, and I need these guys as well. Oh, actually I need this one too. Import HTTP service from service. Okay. Then one more thing. I need this guy inside of my init. So get task. So I can copy and paste this same function too. Okay. What else am I missing? Oh, my task variable, right? Task. Okay, now I can display my task on the HTML. So if I go to my edit component, we know, well, let's just test it really quick before we move on. Refresh. Oh. My home, let's take out this edit link. Okay, so I have the edit works, and I get my task. Okay, so now in my edit component for the HTML, I'm gonna need a form. This form is gonna be actually very similar to my new component. So I'm gonna go there and copy it. Or do you guys want me to type it out? Copy it? Okay, thought so. Okay, copy this whole form. Or actually I can copy this whole thing and go to my edit component, paste it here, change this to edit task. Yeah, we'll take these out. Oops, no. Okay. So if I refresh, there's my edit task. So instead of so now I just copied everything from the new component, right, into my edit. Let me take this out too. Okay. But I want to populate these values with the with the data that's already there. So we already have the task here. The task is already there. I just need to add, or actually, instead of placeholder, I'll make it the value. And this is going to be task dot title. Yeah. Actually, no. Scratch that. Okay, so it's already there. Through the two-way binding, the ng model, we don't have to set the value. It wasn't working before because it was being overridden by the placeholder. Okay, but now I took the placeholder out, and now the actual values are showing that we can change. Okay, so now when we submit, that gets the values. Say it again, Howard? Yeah. So now when we submit, we want to have an edit task. Okay, and so inside of our edit component, we got to build the edit task component, or sorry, function. That's going to run this dot HTTP service dot edit one task. Pass in this dot task. Okay. So what should happen if after we've edited this task? Go to the component with all the tasks. Say it again. With the edited tasks, right? We can go home and we can see all of the edited tasks there. So let's do that. We have the router in here. We do. So if we go to the platform, this one will redirect us back to the home. So as soon as we edit the task, we'll just go back to /home. Okay. Now let's build this function in the service. Get the task itself and return this .http dot what? Post? Yeah, put. Okay. Then we go to /task / ID, no, task dot ID, and then the task itself. Okay. So let's test it out here. We can refresh, place something with your feet. Submit, redirects us home, and here's our edited task. Okay, let's edit, learn how to play the guitar, how to play and sing with the guitar. Submit, redirects us back to home, and we have our edited tasks. Okay, so there's the full CRUD. The validations, you will need to do validations for this one, which we already did, right? And then also you'll need validations for the edit task as well.
Is that how we want to do validation? Or are there like other ways?
Yeah, there's other ways. Angular's ways to do validations, and in the platform, it's in the optionals.
But we can do what you did in the
For the exam, that's what I want you guys to do.
Okay.
So for the exam, you said do it the way you did in the video?
Right. The way we did it with the new task. So bring the back-end validations to the front end.
You just go through that one really fast. For the validation, just like.
Oh yeah, like the code?
Yeah, just kind of like how you like did it. 'Cause I was like kind of getting to work, but I couldn't figure it out.
So that's going to be in the new component. So when we're creating, this is the function that's calling on the service function that posts the data to the server. Okay, when we come back, we're either going to get two messages. We're either going to get the error message or we're going to get the success message, right? So first, we check if the message is an error. If it's an error, then we check for every specific message. Okay, if it does exist, then it's going to query for it this way. Then it's going to query the rest of the actual message. Okay, for example, if we open this up and actually get the message, we get this error object here. And if we open it up and go into the error object itself, we can traverse our way down into the actual error message that's being sent. So in this case, it's the key of error and then errors, and then whichever column has the error, whether it's completed, description, or title, they're each going to exist, and then we can step one more level in to get the message of that error, which is here. Okay, so as soon as we got that, then we can create a local variable, local object, error object, that's going to store all of our error messages, and then through that error object, we can display them in just p tags with error.title, description, and completed. Okay. Questions there? All right. Any other questions? Well, sounds good. I'll upload this shortly.